All right, good morning. Welcome to the Chapel of St. Andrew. This is both a school chapel, Monday through Friday, and then it is the home of the Chapel of St. Andrew congregation. It's an Episcopal community. In the Episcopal Church, when we begin prayers, we start with "The Lord be with you," and you respond. And also with you. All right, let's do it. The Lord be with you. And also with you. Let us pray. God our Father, you see your children growing up in an unsteady and confusing world. Show them that your ways give more life than the ways of the world, and that following you is better than chasing after selfish goals. Help them to take failure not as a measure of their worth, but as a chance for a new start. Give them strength to hold their faith in you and to keep alive their joy in your creation. And let us say together, Amen. Let's have a good time today.
Yeah. All right, let's go get the kids. We got to start at 10:30.
Dana, I was hoping I would see.
All right.
Okay. If you are, excuse me, I'm sorry. If you are on the career panel, oh, thank you. I actually don't need a microphone, but anyway, if you're on the career panel, I'm going to ask you to just come to this front for me. So if Joe Abruzzo's here, I don't know if he's here yet, Michelle Azar, Aaron Bass, Dr. Angela Bess, Amy Borman, Chanel Tonge, Kamar Thomas, Magistrate Maxine Williams, Judge Brad Harper, Dora Hawk, and Amanda McCabe. So can you guys just line up in this front portion right here? Sure. This pew.
In a pew? Okay.
Yeah, this pew right here. Yeah. Yes,
Then
ma'am.
they're going to get up and no one's going to be in the front row.
That's okay. Okay. Yeah, or if you guys want to do the white chairs, Chanel, so yeah, so that when you get up, yeah.
And the white chairs,
Right here, in this row right here. Oh, actually. You got your hand in my photo.
Good morning. Good morning. If you are not seated, may I ask that you take a seat and we'll begin our program. Thank you so much. My name is Ethan Shapiro. I'm the head of school here at St. Andrew's School, and I just wanted to welcome you all here to our campus and to this Next Gen Leadership Summit. It is an honor and a privilege for us to host you here. You will certainly hear more about what's going on, and people will introduce themselves and talk about the program. I just wanted to say two things. One, St. Andrews strives and works hard to be a good partner in the community, and this is one of the ways we can do that, to understand that we're part of the broader community and we want to serve as best we can the broader community. So that is on our end something we are always striving to do. And for the students, obviously the adults that are here giving of their time and volunteering, thank you so much. Judge Rowe, who I know well, and you'll get to know over the course of the day, is an amazing person. I'm not gonna sit here and sing her praises because they didn't give me enough time to do that. But she is an amazing person and a friend of the community, of St. Andrews, and of this chapel. So how about a round of applause for Judge Rowe? And finally, to all of the students who are out there, thank you so much for coming to this. Thank you for having the wisdom and the courage to sign up for a program like this. I'm sure each of you has a little bit of an individual story of how you decided to sign up and what that meant for you, but I congratulate you all, and you have my admiration for doing that. Sometimes in life, you never know when something's going to happen that makes a big difference or a positive impact in your life. You just don't know when those moments are going to happen and come. And I have a sense that for a lot of you, today might be one of those days and one of those moments where you'll look back on this in days and weeks and years to come and say, I'm so glad I went to that. It changed how I do my business and how I think about things. Last thing I want to say is, here at St. Andrews, we have a goal for all our kids when they leave here, when they graduate and go out into the world, and that is that we want to help our kids have lives of honor, purpose, and possibility. Go out there and live lives that are meaningful. That goal of ours resonates 100% with the goal of this Next Gen Leadership Summit. So we're really linked in how we think about the world and serving students. So I'm really glad you're here. And now, with no more commentary from me, I'm going to turn it over to our head chaplain, Father Ben, for an invocation.
Thank you, Mr. Shapiro, and just to continue that welcome, so good to have you all in here. Nothing makes me happier than to see the chapel full of life and activity, and today is exactly one of those days. Now, in the Episcopal tradition, we sit to listen, but we stand to sing and pray. So I'm going to ask you, if you will, please stand. And in the other direction, which I gave to the adults a few minutes ago, we begin our prayers by saying, the Lord be with you, and you respond, and also with you. So let's do that. The Lord be with you. Let us pray. O God, the source of all wisdom and the light of our paths, we give you thanks for this gathering. We ask for your blessing upon the Next Gen Leadership Summit. As these students look toward their futures and explore the pathways of life and career, grant them clarity of mind and courage of heart. Help them to recognize that the gifts and talents they possess are a trust to be used not only for their own success, but for the benefit of their neighbors and the improvement of our community. Bless the mentors, the attorneys, the judges, the athletes, the entrepreneurs, and the professionals gathered here today. May their words be seasoned with truth, and may their presence serve as a guiding light for the next generation. We pray especially for the spirit of integrity. May these students learn that true leadership is found not in power, but in service, not in pride, but in humility, and not in pursuit of self-interest, but in a steadfast commitment to justice, equity, and the common good. And finally, direct us, O Lord, in all our doings, with your most gracious favor, and further us with your continual help, that in all our works, begun, continued, and ended in you, we may lead with integrity to the glory of your name and to the service of all people. And let us say together, Amen. Now, if you'll remain standing, sorry, I've done enough of these, that's always the temptation. If you'll remain standing and join me in saying their Pledge of Allegiance, flag is here, place your right hand over your hearts. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now you may be seated. And as you're being seated, let me welcome to the podium our hosts, I believe, Miguel and Samantha. Welcome.
Thank you, Father. We'd like to start off first by thanking the donors that have contributed and made this possible for us. This was a last minute. We've been working on this the first year, and it's been kind of difficult to do, and we've been running around getting, but these donors came in even at the last minute and made this possible. So right now, we're going to start by recognizing and thanking them right now. And I'm going to start first with the Sheree Davis Cunningham Black Women's Lawyers Association. I think that's the first time I've ever got it right because it's a lot of words here. And Samantha Vaxiana happens to be the president, and we want to thank them because they donated to the fund. The association, I believe, got some other donations from other people. They put it together, and it was the most important one that we got to first off. Thank you, Samantha.
Thank you, everyone. Good morning, and thank you, Miguel. As Miguel said, my name is Samantha Vachiana. I'm the president of the Sheree Davis Cunningham Black Women Lawyers Association. I would be remiss if I didn't recognize the funder who allowed us to sponsor this very important program. The Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office gave us a grant to do this very program to reach out to our youth as part of our mission to uplift Black women both in their careers and in the community. And so this morning I would like to give special thank you to Sheriff Bradshaw and all of the sheriffs who protect us for giving us this grant. Thank you very much. Please give them a resounding round of applause. Thank you very much. Our next, and also Sheree Davis Cunningham too, I would be remiss without doing this as well, is that not only did we donate funds, but we also lend our people resources. And I don't know if Melva Rogier is here. Is she in here or did she step out? Okay, Melva is, oh, there she is in the back. Please give her a round of applause. She is our outreach chair for 25-26. She has been diligent with her team, Camilla Leon, Takesha Miles from Legal Aid, and many others who have worked on putting this program together with Judge Rowe, the Craig Bernard Inns of Court, and many others. And so moving on now to the next contribution that we received was from the Reed Law Firm by Andrea Reed.
Thank you. Our next donor that we would need to recognize is the law firm of Osborne, Francis, and Pettis. And we have one of the partners here today. That's Mr. Nick Johnson. We'd like to say thank you to the firm, and thank you to Nick very much.
Our next contributor is, I don't see her in here, but if she's not here, I'm going to have Melva stand up and take her a round of applause. Is from the Legal Aid Society of Palm Beach County. We thank them very much, spearheaded by Melva and Takesha Miles and Miss Dana Brooks, who's also the one who helped us to get the sponsorship from Andrew Reed. So thank you again, all three of you.
Okay, our next donor is my favorite because I've been a member for 10 years along with Judge Rowe. It is the Craig S. Barnard Inn of Court, and it's one of the organizations that there's over 300 chapters throughout the country, and it's an organization that promotes ethics, professionalism, and civility. And I'm honored to be a member of that, and today I'd like to thank the president this year is Tina L. Fidel. Tina, please stand up, say.
Next, we're going to go to our individual sponsors. These two individuals donated and contributed to this program, Will and Cheryl Harmon. They are members of this church, and they gave willingly and so kindly, and we want to say thank you. I hope they are still here. I saw Cheryl earlier. Thank you both so much.
Next, we have a wonderful person that I got the pleasure of meeting a couple of months ago. She attended all our Zoom meetings, was very involved, and she's a treasure here at the chapel. And we want to thank her for her participation and for her donation, and that's Emily Nell Lagerquist.
And our last, but certainly not least, contributor to this amazing program, well, actually two. First is Simplia Justice, which is a foundation spearheaded by Judge Rowe, there she is, by Judge Rowe and her husband, Stephen Hinkle. We want to say thank you both for your contribution. And Judge Rowe, please stand so everybody can see you. We'll come back to it. And then last, well, actually not last because Miguel's going to pick up again, but from me is the Miguel Poveda from the Poveda Law Firm, and he's up here with me. Yes. Take a bow, take a bow. Thank you very much. And now, Miguel.
Thank you very much. She just went out of order. I wanted to leave Simone Rowe for last because I have a lot of words to say about Judge Rowe. This is a little impromptu because we didn't know how we were going to handle this, and since I like to talk, and you guys are going to have to throw some stuff at me to shut me up in a few minutes. So it is really my pleasure and my honor to be here. And of course, Stephen Hinkle and Simone Rowe are special people to me, and not just a foundation, but all the time. So I'll tell you a little bit about why we're here also is because the Florida Bar wants to promote civility and ethics and professionalism. And this year we had a great leader that everyone should be proud of. For the first time in 75 years, we have the first black woman president of the Florida Bar. Her name is Saya Baker Barnes. She's not here, but she leads the bar, and the bar continues to use people like this because they're people of integrity. So we're happy with that. But it trickles down more. As a matter of fact, we have a very important person coming in right now, and it's Judge Cheeseman. Judge Cheeseman, welcome. We also have other members of the judiciary that have been so gracious in coming in today. We have Judge Curley, Judge Harmon, Judge Small, and Judge Stevens, and of course Judge Cheeseman too, and we're so happy that you could join us. It's really important for all the students to realize that we care about their future, and you being here is a major impact, and we appreciate you participating this year. Along with that, I want to thank all the participants. That we had a large group of volunteers here that worked really hard, Samantha and Melva, and I don't want to name everybody because I'll miss, but even, my partner, Michelle Azar, who is also my co-chair of special projects at the end of court. And we have been working very hard to put this together because Judge Rowe is a taskmaster and she's a slave driver, and she just keeps us going and going. As a matter of fact, this is one of the things I want to talk to her about because this is not the only thing that she's doing. This is the first of its kind. This is the annual Next Gen Leadership Summit. And we know that so far it's been a success. It's going to continue to go forward in the future. Now, yesterday, while we were doing it, had the pleasure and honor of working with her also with Carver Middle School. And we have some of the students that were there with us yesterday, here with us today. And yesterday was the 14th annual Carver Middle School mock trial, which Judge Rowe has been running all these 14 years. I've had the pleasure to be with her. Yes, please. So when it comes to Judge Rowe, I can't say enough about her because, I get emotional, I'm sorry. When it comes to integrity, it is something so difficult. You all can go home today and look it up in the dictionary. You can Google it. But there's really a good chance that when you go look at the definition, you're going to find a picture of Judge Rowe right there, okay? She epitomizes integrity and in every way. And she inspires me every single day because she's just a person that says the truth, speaks truth. You can count on her honesty. Now, I started with a background in martial arts years ago, and there were 5 tenets from the Shotokan karate that apply to me and apply here. And the first one was seek perfection of character. And this is something we do because no one's perfect, but seeking that is so important. The second was being faithful. Being faithful means being truthful, that your word means something, so you have honor and respect from everyone. The next one is endeavor. You have to work hard. You have to endeavor at what you're doing to progress. The next two are a little different, but it's respect others, which we try to do with our civility, and refrain from violent behavior. Those 5 tenets were always important for me for the 40 years that I trained. And when I came to the INSO Court 10 years ago, their motto, their mission is to promote ethics, to promote professionalism, and to promote civility. Now, this is done for the lawyers for the most part, and of course, humans are humans. Integrity doesn't come along with a particular profession or a job. You can be a dishwasher and have integrity. You can be a doctor and not have integrity. So they don't go together with the job. You could be out of work and have integrity. So integrity is a quality they have to work for and develop. And what's important here is that the judge worked so hard to put this summit together because it's important that you are the future. And everyone's here right now because it's your future. And we need to make sure that it goes on, that the leaders of the future lead with integrity. And this is the whole purpose of this mission today. And Judge Rowe is a walking example. She walks it and she talks it, but you know, this is the real thing right here. So the problem with Judge Rowe is that she doesn't get enough sleep, she does too many projects, and she burns the candles on both ends and in the middle. So I don't know how she does it. But I am very proud that I have been given the privilege to participate with her in these events, and I'm very proud of Judge Rowe and to call her my friend. Thank you, Judge Rowe. Oh, see, I get emotional, I mess up. I only have one question for you today, okay? And the question is that before we get this party started, are you ready? Oh, you're gonna put me to sleep. You know, this is gonna be a fun event. I want you to have fun. I want you to walk around, interact with the judges, interact with the panel. Everyone's here to have conversations with you. Just be respectful, be considerate, but ask them anything you want, because what you want to do is take advantage of this opportunity so you take this important experience with you the rest of your life. So I want you to tell me again, are you ready? Let me welcome the Honorable Judge Simone S. Rowe.
Thank you, Mr. Poveda. My heart is really full. That was too much. Wow. We got here with a lot of people. And I remember last year, around this time, I was in that building, the Harmon building, and my chapel asked me to speak about one of our baptismal covenants, which just talks about justice and striving for justice and peace. And after that, many of the parishioners of this chapel really didn't know what I did, because I'm just Simone here. I don't have a title. I don't think many of them know what I do. And they were fascinated by what I did, and they wanted to know more. And they said, you should do something about that. And I was like, okay, what can I do about that? And that's what this is. And that's why my heart is full. I'm privileged to have a lot of judges here with me, some of whom have done juvenile. And juvenile is tough, because we see children in some instances that are abused, neglected, or abandoned, or children that have committed delinquent acts. And we're here for you, because sometimes you do make mistakes. And we're here to try to be that resource, that sort of blanket, so that you know that you matter. Before we started, Father Ben gave a prayer. And he said, he was talking about this unsteady and ever-changing world. When I went to this school, I'm blessed to have gone to this school. I graduated in this chapel on that stage. I got my diploma. I did not have the challenges you all had. There was no social media. There were no bullies online. There was none of that. You guys have a really tough road to go. I want you to know that these adults that are here in front of you are here for you. They want you to succeed. They want to be that sounding board when you're thinking about doing something that may not put you on the right path. That's what this conference is all about. That's what this summit is all about. For you to develop the tools and resources and relationships to live lives of integrity. So, as Mr. Baveda said, are you ready? Yes. Let's do it.
Okay, so if you are on the career panel, I'm going to invite you to come up, and by calling your name, I'm going to start first with the Honorable Judge Bradley Harper, who moved seats on me. The Honorable Judge Bradley Harper. And I'm proud to say he's also my law school classmate. We went through it together. All right. The Honorable Magistrate Maxine Williams. Miss Michelle Azar. Miss Chanel Tonge. Miss Dora Hawk. Miss Amanda McCabe. Mr. Aaron Bass. Mr. Kamar Thomas. And Dr. Angela Bess. And girl, you look so cute. You're rocking that outfit. Yes, love it. Sir, good morning, how are you? And please welcome Joseph Abruzzo. I'm sorry, I apologize, I did not see you. All right.
Okay.
So this, ladies and gentlemen, students, this is your career panel this morning, and they're here to talk to you about what they do and some of the tidbits that they can give you in their journey here. But what I'm asking you to do is to be interactive. You have a question, raise your hand. Whomever you want me to ask that question of, I will. This is not going to be just them talking to you. You can do that in other environments. Here, we're asking you to interact. You have judges sitting on this panel. You have state attorneys or assistant state attorneys sitting on this panel, assistant public defenders, private lawyers, county court lawyers, county commissioners, and so on, and so on, and so on, and so on. And they'll introduce themselves to you, but you have a wealth of information up here. Please take advantage of it this morning. So going down from my left all the way forward, I'm gonna ask you to please introduce yourself, tell the students a little bit about yourself, and then when we come back the second time around, talk a little bit about your journey. Judge Harper.
Very briefly, my name is Bradley Harper. I work as a circuit court judge. I am a Palm Beach County native, 6 generations, graduated from the best school in the country, Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia, and then the second best, University of Florida Law School, and I'm glad to be here with you all today.
Hi, good morning. I'm Maxine Williams. I'm a magistrate with the 15th Circuit. I do primarily circuit court work, but I'm not a judge like the judges on the panel. I do similar work to the judges. And I also went to the University of Florida, but I'm a double-gator, undergrad and law school.
Hey y'all, Michelle Azar. I am an attorney. I work for myself. That's called a solo practitioner for those of you who don't know. And it's pretty cool, but my boss is kind of a pain actually. And sometimes. And I do business and real estate litigation. That means I go to court and argue, but 90% of the job is actually looking at a computer. In case anybody really wants to know what that's like, ask us. Thank you.
Oh, you found one.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. My name is Chanel Tung. I'm an assistant public defender. I've been at the office for 19 years. I went to the University of Central Florida for undergrad and the University of Florida, Go Gators, for law school. And what my story I would like to share with you guys when we get to it is that I was born in the Caribbean. I moved to the United States as a teenager and to two parents who had never been to high school, much less college, and navigating that world and getting to where I am today. So if you have questions about that, I'd be so happy to share with you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dora Hawk. I'm an attorney at the Juvenile Advocacy Project at Legal Aid. I represent children in their delinquency and dependency matters. I went to law school in the University of Miami. I'd say there we go. There we go. I'd say we have the best law school. Sorry, Judge Harper. I went to undergrad at Florida Atlantic University. Yes, Owls as well. Yeah, I have quite a journey to tell you guys about, so I'm very excited to be on this panel, and thank you guys all for coming out here.
Good morning. Oh, yes, it works. Whew. Good morning, everyone. My name is Amanda McCabe. I'm an assistant state attorney in the Special Victims Unit, so any questions about that, I'm happy to answer. I went to the University of Florida for undergrad, and I went to Florida State for law school. I'm very happy to be here. If anyone has any questions, of course, just like everybody else, we're here for you and here to talk about what we do and how maybe one day you could do what we do too. So thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Aaron Bass. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Silver, Bass, and Brams. I am a Broward County native, but I've lived here in Palm Beach County for about 27 years now. I am a University of Florida alumnus, and I went to law school at Nova Southeastern University, and I practice in civil litigation, and I do estate planning.
So good morning, everyone. My name is Kamar Thomas. Aaron was once upon a time my opposing counsel. So I'm an attorney. I do personal injury. Prior to doing personal injury, I was the general counsel of operations for an insurance company. I did FAU for undergrad and St. Thomas for law school. I'm excited to speak about my journey because it's kind of unconventional. So I can't wait to talk to you about where I've been and my experience.
Good morning. My name is Angela Bess. I serve as the district administrator for our court education liaison component. I serve as the administrator between our senior leadership and our juvenile judges of Circuit 15. We have court education liaison teacher units at master's level assigned to each juvenile judge's courtroom, and then all of the cases that are filed up, I carry those through to fruition with constant communication throughout the district and with our juvenile judges. Attended historically black university, college, University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, and then moved over to, had some certifications with FAU, and then finished my doctoral studies at Nova Southeastern University. Yeah. Doctor of Education in Organizational Leadership with a specialization in Educational Leadership.
Thank you. My name is Joseph Abruzzo. I'm a longtime former elected official from Palm Beach County State House, State Senate, was your previous clerk of court, so I understand why it's a little confusing. But now I am your county administrator / CEO. And what that means is our incredible board of county commissioners, which has the policy and oversight over the entire county, hire a county administrator to run the operations of our government at the county. So it's a pretty large operation. We have over 7,100 positions, nearly a $10 billion annual operating budget. But first and foremost, I have to give a big thank you to Judge Rowe, because this wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for you, Your Honor, and thank you so much, and this incredible esteemed panel. Since we're weighing in on colleges, a big shout out to the U. We see Mike Rumpf in the house, our local, really one of our heroes here in Palm Beach County. I know he'll be speaking to you later, but just for the record, the University of Miami for both men and female athletics have more national championships since the 80s than anybody up here. Number 2, they rank, most importantly, scholastically at the top of the game in almost every single college within their university. So big shout out to them. I will, and I just have to give a couple more recognitions. I see Tammy Field, who's one of our chief deputy administrators, who youth services and a number of important departments are under her. And I see Nicole Gaspari maybe in the back. Is that from our clerk's office, who's been very engaged? I came to Florida in the late 90s to play baseball at Lynn University. And we didn't have football in Palm Beach County at the time, so we naturally gravitated towards the U here as like our official, and that's how actually Mike and I met back in 1999. But I came here to play ball, got involved in student government. When I eventually became student body president, went into the United States Coast Guard amongst graduating, and then ran for the State House at 26 years old, got elected to the State House, State Senate, Clerk's office. So again, I don't want to belabor the point, but a long-time elected official. And I will just say this. And whatever you do in life, it doesn't matter whatever your true passion is, but that's the key word, passion. You have to have passion for what you do. That way your job, your service, you giving back to the community or your organization that you work for, it doesn't even feel like a job. You just simply have that incredible passion. So if you could take one thing from anything I say today, I'd appreciate it. Just always remember, have that passion.
Well, I'll try to be as brief and concise as my fellow panelists here. When I speak with parents and they have concerns about the direction and the journey of their children, right? And especially if they happen to be court involved, howbeit delinquency or dependency. I remember my path and my journey, and I share with parents genuinely, every student has his or her own path. And then I share with them my story. I am the eldest child of 8 children. So my parents, as you can imagine, were always working. And I had to take that lead role, my brother and I, in our family. And so in our family, because of the parents working all the time, maybe sun up to sundown and not coming in, my older brother and I took care of our younger siblings. We made sure that education was paramount, because my parents, my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles, everybody stressed that within the village that helped take care of us. And so my role looked a little different. You know, I was the big sister. I was the one who they looked up to. I was the one, a first generation to go to college. And so everything was hanging in the balances on me. And that was a lot of pressure, but I knew that it was what was expected of me. And I stood up to the challenge. And so I went off to college, University of Arkansas, tears in my eyes, because I was leaving behind 7 siblings that had depended on me. And I knew that was the driving force for me to do what I needed to do once I landed on that campus. I went from there to a sophomore and then got engaged. So every path, and this is what I want the children that are here to understand, everybody's path looks different, right? And it didn't take anything away from me because I fell in love. I got married. I had a family, started a family, and all the while, I was still in college. And I did that, and fortunate for me, I married a spouse who was just as enthusiastic about education, and he promoted that. And so we continued our education together. So from there, we got married, moved to Florida. I stayed a stint of maybe a semester out until I could get in, finished my degree here, bachelor's degree, master's degree, several certifications in the interim of starting my doctoral degree program. And I finished. And so what I would say as a lifelong educator and learner myself to the students who are listening, I see your faces, every path is different. There's no straight path, there's no crooked path, every path is different, and you can make it. And I'm a living testimony that you're capable of doing that. So here I sit.
Thank you so much. So my path is very different. You know, I tell people that I consider myself as a child a very confused kid. And the reason why I say that is because people think that I'm where I'm at because I had things so scheduled and so planned. And I'm the type of person, I live in the moment. And, you know, my dad died at the age of 15. And I was left, you know, with my mom and my siblings. I think I'm who I am because I don't know if anybody knows, but I have a Taurus mom, and she's also Jamaican. And her thing is, she says that you can't give children choices. Especially when they're younger, you need to guide them in a path, especially when they're confused. And I think her guidance made me who I am. So I started out going to pilot school, because my mom wanted me to be a pilot. I didn't like it, and then I started to be a concierge. You know, I worked with the airlines a bit, being a concierge. And while I was a concierge, I was working at the Ritz-Carlton Jupiter Club. There was a member there, his name is Dean Sanders, you know, God bless his soul. And he walked up to me one day and he said, I want to have lunch with you. And he said, you should be an attorney. I had a bachelor's degree. My mom was like, you need to do something extra. And I'm like, an attorney? Started thinking about it. He said, you need to be an attorney. I didn't listen. He went up to the GM at the time, the general manager, and he said, you need to fire this guy. And I switched jobs to the Ritz-Carlton Palm Beach. And Mr. Saunders and his wife came to the Ritz-Carlton Palm Beach, and he told the GM again, you need to fire this guy. He has so much potential. If you don't fire him, you're doing him a disservice. And I thank God every day for Mr. Saunders. And I decided to apply to law school. At the time, I knew only one lawyer. His name was Pete Hunt. He was the husband at the time of our director of food and beverage. I reached out to Pete. I said, hey, what do you think about law school? And Pete was like, you should come to St. Thomas. I went on a Zoom session with the dean, and she's like, you're an attorney. You need to go into law school. I went into law school. My first year, Mr. Saunders died. And so you didn't get to see me finish. But I tell people that, you know, after law school, I graduated, started out at the public defender's office, and then I I fell in the lap of Judge Stevens over there. Judge Stevens, Nick Johnson, and Judge Stevens is a mentor of mine throughout. She didn't know it at the time, but I saw it as a mentor. And the lessons that I learned from people like Judge Stevens, who was willing to take me under her wings, is so valuable. Sometimes you have to appreciate the negative things that you believe at the time. people are saying to you that's negative. It's okay, because sometimes there's some gems in it. I had this judge, Judge Sasser, who was also my mentor, and she was willing to tell me the hard truth. Judge Stevens, I went, to Judge Bonavita, Judge Harper, and these are the people who guided me throughout my path. My first job outside the PD's office was a prosecutor, an opposing counsel. Ashley Houlihan, she said, hey, you need to take the next step and get out of the public defender's office. The best job ever, loved that job, the PD's office. And, I realized when I got out the PD's office that there was such a bigger world out there. And, I went in-house at an insurance company. I was lucky enough to be mentored by Darrell Lewis. He's the chief legal officer, and sometimes we had some tough conversations. Sometimes I didn't want to, listen. And the one conversation I remember that Mr. Lewis had with me, and I'll share it with you before, I pass the mic. He pulled me in his office one day and he said, what is it that you want to do? And I said, ultimately I want to be a general counsel. He said, okay, I'm going to show you how to be a general counsel. He said, you need to change the way you dress, the way you walk, the way you speak. And at first I thought, I'm like, I think I dress okay. But when I asked somebody else who's also a mentor of mine, they confirmed what Mr. Lewis said. And it was tough in the moment, because I'm like, okay, sometimes it's hard to take critique. And I followed the advice of Mr. Lewis and my other mentor, and I eventually became a general counsel. So while you walk through your career path, you don't have to have it planned, the next step plan. You don't have to have it scheduled. Just have good people in your corner and trust in the process.
I want to start by asking a question. I want a little audience participation here. Who here has dealt with, and Judge Rowe talked about, you guys have bullies to deal with online now. When we were all in school and in college and law school, we didn't have to deal with online bullies. But who here has dealt with a bully, whether it's somebody at school, somebody in the neighborhood, or somebody online? Raise your hand. Okay. So my journey to becoming a lawyer was because of a bully and because of athletics, believe it or not. So when I was a senior in high school, I was a pretty good football player. I was captain of my high school football team. And there was a student, I did not know him, in my school, who he was a person with a disability. And one day at lunch, another guy on the football team, who I did not particularly like because he was not nice to people, he was a bully, started making fun of this kid. And it really bothered me. And I told him, without embarrassing this other kid, I went up to this bully and I said, please leave him alone. Said, he can't help that he was born with this disability. He can't help that he's not as smart as you or I. He can't help that he looks different. Leave him alone. You're being cruel. And this bully, I'm Jewish, and this bully used a racial slur against me and some very negative curse words. And I just looked at him, and I wasn't upset what he said to me. I was still upset that he was picking on this other person who couldn't stand up for themselves. And I said, you're mine at football practice. I said, you are mine. And at football practice, I made sure I was in a drill against him, and I hit him so hard I broke both of his collarbones. And I went home very proud that I did that.
Don't mess with Aaron.
And when I got home, I was sitting at the dinner table. One of the things, and I grew up in a very working class, blue collar household. My father was a plumber. My mother worked as a secretary in one of the departments for the city we lived in. We lived in Sunrise down in Broward County. And I was very proud that I did that. And my father, who was a Vietnam vet and had experienced a lot of violence in his life, he looked at me and he said, I'm very proud of you that you felt the need to stand up for somebody who maybe couldn't stand up for themselves. That's noble. Your problem is, even though it was at football practice and it was kind of sanctioned violence, violence is not the answer to solving society's ills. He said, why don't you think about becoming a lawyer? I was a senior in high school, just beginning of my senior year of high school. And all through, and my cousins and my brother and I, my siblings and I, and all of my cousins, we were the first generation in our families to go to college. My parents didn't have a lot of money. Like I said, they were working class people, but I felt the need to stand up for somebody else. And that was the first inspiration that I had to become a lawyer and go to law school.
Sure.
You are assistant state attorney. That's a really important job. And if you could tell the students exactly what is it that you do?
Sure. So assistant state attorney is just a really fancy and nice title for a prosecutor. They're called a lot of different things all over the country. If you ever watched Law & Order SVU, they're called assistant district attorneys, but we all do the same thing, and essentially most of us do trial work. So I'm a trial attorney, and I specifically do special victims crimes. Without getting into... Sure. So special victims are victims of either sex crimes or they're usually children, right? They're special. We treat them as a little bit different because we recognize that whatever they've gone through or whatever they've experienced is something that we want to handle with care. And we want to make sure that they feel heard and they feel listened to, because at the end of the day, as lawyers, you're an advocate for somebody, whether that's a company or a person or a group of people. And it doesn't matter where they're from or what their life has looked like. You're their advocate. You're their person that goes into court and talks for them and essentially says that whatever happened to this person, it happened, and we believed them. And how can we help them going forward in this process that most people will never experience in their life if they're not an attorney or if they're not a victim or if they're not accused of a crime. And so my job as a prosecutor is a little bit different than the job of a defense attorney. And that is because I have to look at all the facts. So a defense attorney will come to me and say, listen, let me tell you about my client. Let me tell you about his life. Let me tell you about all the things that got him to be here. And what they do is really important because they're advocating for their client too. But then I take that information and I compare it to what I know about my victim. And I compare it to what I know about the facts and what I know the police and the detectives have brought me. And then I have to make sense of all those things. And sometimes we can't make sense of it. And that's why we wind up in court. We wind up practicing in front of a lot of the judges that are in here, and we advocate for them, and we talk to people, and we communicate with others in the community, and we make arguments. And so that's what I do on a day-to-day, and it's generally a lot of talking to attorneys and talking in front of judges and talking to members of the community and officers and detectives and scientists. So that's what I do, and I hope that answered the question. So absolutely, it can be very difficult. You know, I know all of us, everyone up here, I think is some kind of attorney and has been on one side or another. And of course we want to believe in our cases and we want to believe that whatever happens is the right outcome. But it can be very difficult because you're looking at some very hefty sentences, especially in the work that I do. You're looking at some serious crimes, and you want to always make sure that what you're doing is right and that you believe in your case. But more than believe in your case, you want to make sure that the facts support what you're asking for. So yes, absolutely, it can be very difficult. It should never be taken lightly, but it is something you work up to. You know, the first case you get if you're doing a job like mine is not a case that calls for a life sentence. It's, you know, someone took something from Target, or someone, you know, got into a car accident and left the scene. So they don't start you there, but you know, you get there, and hopefully you approach that work with all the seriousness that it requires to make sure you're doing the right thing.
Well, legal aid, we have multiple different projects. I specifically am in the Juvenile Advocacy Project. I represent children in their delinquency and dependency matters. So what that means, delinquency, it involves the criminal side of things, the juvenile criminal side of things. So there's going to be a public defender who's on the case, as well as an attorney ad litem if needed. And I only get appointed by the judge if there's a special need for the child. So I kind of work side by side with the public defender there to help with any special needs the child has in a delinquency case. As for dependency, I'm much more hands-on. I am advocating for the child, whatever their needs may be. Dependency process can be quite convoluted. Usually what that means is that a child is removed from the home because there's abuse, abandonment, or neglect that's occurred wherever that they are, and it's quite sad. But I get appointed to help them with going through the judicial process with them, making sure that they find stability, that they're given services that they need, whether it's educational, mental health, that they find perhaps a placement they can be in, whether that's foster care, with a relative, with somebody else that they can be placed with, and I just represent them in everything that they may need.
Excellent, thank you. You are an assistant public defender, which is the complete opposite of Ms. McCabe, right? And tell the students, if you will, what's a day in the life of a public defender? Now, I'll just say this, you do a lot, so I'm going to ask you just to hit on the highlights of a day in the life of a public defender.
So as you guys know, a public defender is an attorney that's appointed to someone. I know if you guys have heard the Miranda warnings, if you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed to you. So the public defender's office is that office that's appointed to you, and if we have a conflict, meaning that there are multiple people and maybe they're pointing the fingers at each other, then there's the Office of Regional Conflict Counsel, and I see Tony Ryan is also here. So a day in my life, we get cases assigned to us, so I'm in leadership, but even though I'm in leadership, I still have a full caseload of 100+ cases. I'm currently in our mental health division, so we're paperless, so I have a computer, I open my computer, and I see I have a new case that's assigned to me. My secretary has emailed me, let me know the person is in custody. We have what's called performance standards, so one of the things that's required of me in my performance standards, I have to go out to the jail to see that individual within 72 hours. And it's important, right? Because you think someone is in jail, they've been arrested, they don't know what's going on, they have questions. So to have that individual sitting there for longer than that time frame would be just not something that we want to do. So I would get out to the jail, go visit that individual, get some background information, see if that's something that I can use to maybe file a motion for bond, to see if a judge like Judge Harper, Judge Stevens, Judge Rowe would consider lowering the bond if it's something that individual or the individual's family can afford. The next thing I do is talk to that individual, get some background information. The prosecutor talked about mitigation and information about that client that I can later share with the state attorney's office to maybe lesser what they are going to offer. Or, as I'm thinking about going to trial, I have to think about how to present my client, how to humanize my client. And if worst case scenario, my client is found guilty, I also have to start thinking about sentencing, right? So these are all, I don't go into a case thinking I'm gonna lose, but I wanna have all grounds covered in case I need to negotiate a plea. If I go to trial and I win, that's great. If I go to trial and a jury or non-jury finds that individual not guilty, then I have to also be prepared to have mitigation to present to a judge to say, I understand that what the person was found guilty of is bad or is wrong, but here is this person's life, here is how they got to where they got to, and let's see if we can mitigate that sentence to something less. I work and I supervise, so I supervise lawyers, I help them with their caseload when they have questions with their cases. I do that, they come to my office. But I spend a lot of time in court, I do trials, I do evidentiary hearings where it's the judge that's making a decision, so that's kind of what my life is like on a daily basis.
Wonderful, thank you. Mrs. Czar, you are a little bit different than everybody else sitting up here as far as the lawyers are concerned because you're in what's called private practice. What is that?
So we don't work for the government. We work for individuals. We try to, well, I'll tell you, in my case, I became a lawyer because I really hated injustice. And I thought I would be the one to right all injustice. Well, it's not quite that easy. We get to do that some on a day, some. I mean, really, every case is about who's right and who's wrong, and sometimes the right person prevails, and sometimes it doesn't work out that way. But what we try to do is, an individual comes to us, and I will tell him or her, listen, this is your rights. This is what makes sense to do with those rights. It's going to cost you X amount of dollars to do it. Sometimes we do it for free because we really believe in the case, but that has to be the exception rather than the rule because you're actually running a business, trying to, you know, make a living doing that. So this is very different. And I'll tell you what I pretty much do on a daily basis is I look at the computer and argue with people by email. And the lawyers here know what I'm talking about, all the lawyers. And maybe get on the phone and argue on the phone. Try to come up with a resolution. I say argue, but you always, you know, one of my main things is promoting the civility. That's the whole reason, you know, one of the big reasons we're here today, to talk about how do you be a lawyer, how do you be a, you know, any other legal professional and still, you know, it's not like on TV. I mean, I've seen a lot of lawyer TV shows. I used to watch LA Law, that was decades ago. But we have to get along with the people we're arguing with. That's how you get a good result. You have to be credible. You can't go to court and be known to make up stories. You know, you absolutely cannot. And one of my passions is I see on the national stage in politics and whatnot that people aren't always honest. Let's just put it that way. But locally, we have to do that. We can't just go to Judge Harper and say, hey, guess what? You know, make up a story, and if he knows I'm making it up, that's the end of me with Judge Harper. So I don't know if I answered the question, but I got to talk a little bit about why I feel like civility and professionalism is so very important. You have to be honest, you have to be credible. You know, your reputation will last your life, and it's very easy to destroy it. So always think of that when you're talking to people.
Thank you so much, Mrs. R. And I want to piggyback on that a little bit, Magistrate Williams, talking about leading with integrity. As a magistrate, tell us briefly what you do, and then tell us what you look for when you're talking about integrity. What does that mean when a lawyer comes into your courtroom?
Okay. Well, good morning again, everybody. So I sit in the family division of the court, and so we handle things dealing with children, families, parents, people who have been divorced, people who are going through custody battles for their children, people who want child support. Some of you may have heard that. So those are the kind of things I handle. They're very emotional, very contentious many times. If we ever get a couple in that's getting along, it's amazing. But we do try to resolve their problems, and our focus is always on kids. So if the parents are fighting and carrying on in court, my goal is always what's best for your child. And that's my mandate. That's what I focus on. I try to remind parents, well, it's really not about you today. It's about your kids. And so I focus on that. In terms of lawyers, we expect them, require them to be honest with the court, to be candid. Even if something is going against them, they're supposed to tell us that, Judge, really, this is really what's happening, even though my client might want something different. So we depend on the lawyers to give us the right information so we can make the best decision for the case. And if lawyers aren't doing that, then justice won't be served. And so the Florida Bar, which we are all under, require everybody to be candid with courts, for courts to also have integrity, and for the people that appear before courts to have integrity. So we hope when we do that, we can make the best decisions for families and especially our children.
Thank you so much. Judge Harper, again, I'm staying sort of on the same track here. Tell us a little bit about what you do as a judge, and then also, does integrity start the day that you become a lawyer? And if not, when does it start?
All right, so repeat after me. Fair.
Fair.
No, y'all gonna have to do better than that. Fair.
Fair.
And efficient.
And efficient.
That's what I do as a judge. I make sure court is fair and it's efficient. So I'm gonna be efficient and end there. What was the second part of the question?
He went to my law school, guys. No, the second part of the question is, when does integrity begin? Does it begin when you become a lawyer, or if it's before that, and how do you develop that?
Integrity begins now. Say it with me, now.
Now.
All right, I'm gonna play some music in a minute. Your integrity begins now. It's about being real and telling the truth. Thank you.
You so much. At this time, I'd like to ask if any of the students have any questions. I know there are people walking around with microphones. I saw Mr. Paveda somewhere with a microphone. And Mr. Paveda with a microphone, and Judge Stevens with a microphone. Is there anyone who would like to ask questions of our esteemed panelists?
Who has a question?
We're going to call on you.
I have a question of...
Stand up.
I have a question for, how did you start the Special Victims Unit?
I can talk loud. So I actually started about a year ago. It was an opportunity that I was nervous to take. I hope this answers the question. If it doesn't, stop me. We all love to talk up here, I'm sure you can tell. It was something that, I grew up on a very heavy diet of Law & Order SVU, so I had an idea of what the work looked like. I will tell you it's not exactly that, but it's pretty close. But I started there about a year ago, and it was just an opportunity that I had a mentor in the office that came to me and said, listen, you really need to do this. It's the kind of work that I think most people think lawyer work looks like. And I feel very privileged to do it. But so I started because a mentor, I think we've all talked about mentors here, said this is something you need to do. And I've loved it, and so they were right.
Wonderful. Anyone else? Yes.
Hello, so I have a question for everyone actually. What is like the hardest part of your job for all of you guys?
We're going to pick two people to answer that. Maybe, is Mr. Abruzzo still here? Oh, hello. No, right? The resemblance is uncanny. Go ahead, and we'll also ask Ms. Tonch to also answer.
I haven't introduced myself yet. I'm Tammy Fields. I'm one of the deputy county administrators. Mr. Abruzzo had to catch an emergency flight, so he apologizes for having to leave early. I think working in county government, one of the most difficult things for us is balancing, we work for politicians and we work for the public. And those things don't always match 100%. So we, as being administrators, have to really balance that. Our bosses are the Board of County Commissioners. They're elected by all of you. But everybody has different needs, and we have to take care of all of the needs of everyone in the county, not just the ones who show up at the polls. So we have to take care of everyone's needs and make sure we're prioritizing the citizens and the residents of Palm Beach County. So it's a balancing act.
Wonderful. Ms. Tonch?
Yeah, a very famous lawyer by the name of Brian Stevenson always said that people are more than the worst thing they've ever done. And so in my job, I represent people, and right now I represent homicides and everything down the line in mental health court. And so I've seen people in the worst things they've ever done. And so living that for the last 19 years and experiencing that secondhand trauma, that's sometimes very hard. And then sometimes getting to learn that individual and seeing them beyond that fact and beyond that crime that they're accused of, and then seeing them go to prison for a very extended period of time, and then watching the impact on the family, right? And watching sometimes the impact on victims. I'm a human, right? So I understand that there is another side, and watching that family suffer from whatever my client is accused of doing, that's some of the hard things I have to deal with every day.
Excellent. Dr. Best?
Yes, and I would just like to comment from an educational perspective. In fact, just yesterday I had an experience. And for us, we have thousands of students that we have to care for. And you just wonder sometimes, like, how do you do it? And it takes a village, we know, to raise one child. So yesterday I was getting lunch. I was working in my office in the Western community. And there this mother was with two young children, school age, maybe pre-K and then kindergarten or first. and she was waiting at a bus stop. It was very hot, and there was a gentleman, well, a man, I wouldn't say a gentleman, who approached her and the little children, and he was being irate, and she was trying to protect her children. So I left my lunch that I had paid for. I got in my vehicle, and I drove over to the Palm Tran bus stop that she was waiting at. He had taken control of that area. And so I asked her, I said, "Where are you going? And can I give you a ride?" And it's so, as educator, she was going to Pahokee, so I had to leave the area I was in. But I took that family and I drove them to safety where they needed to be. And so it's just so often that as district leaders, the public they don't see those acts of kindness that we do. And that happens so often, you know. And so for us, the most difficult piece is not being able to catch every student, you know, all of the time, and just being there. And so it's difficult sometimes, but we do care and know that as educators, we are here for you. So don't ever hesitate. Whatever issue you may have, whether you think it's simple or on the difficult end, make sure that you communicate with your teachers, your administrators, etc., and even a mentor or a friend.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bess. We're going to wrap up now. You'll be going to your next panel, and if you have additional questions, please ask them of the individual panelists in the networking, speed networking panelists. I want to take this opportunity to thank our panel. Please give them a round of applause. They are amazing. They did an amazing job. Thank you all so much for giving up your Saturday morning and coming here to speak to our future, the next generation. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Melva Rogier, and I'm an attorney with the Legal Aid Society of Palm Beach County. A lot of the students at Palm Beach Lakes had a lot of interaction with you all, so I'm happy to see you all today. My career in law was very non-traditional. I went to undergrad first, and then I served 7 years in the U.S. Army. I got to travel the country, represent the U.S. Army. I got to play softball for the All-Army softball team. And I can tell you all a little bit about the United States JAG Corps. So what we're going to do in our next session is going to be fun. Trust me, believe me, you guys are about to wake up. We're going to get moving. Each of you all in your notebook should have a networking worksheet. Open your notebooks. Do you all have one? If you don't have one, then let us know. You're going to walk across the hallway, and you're going to walk in, and there are going to be 10 professionals set up. They're going to be at tabletops. You're going to take your worksheets, and you have 10 questions on there. You are each required to ask those 10 questions, and to get those professionals to give you their autograph once they give you the answer. And once you've gotten all 10 questions completed, then there'll be a station where you can get your prize. So we have some swag bags over there. We have a prize for the person who finishes first. And we have a few gift cards for people who ask very good questions. So be on your best behavior, and let's line up and get ready to go.